Hey everyone, I'm back, and today we're going to be talking about Porco Rosso. And this movie is directed by Hayao Miyazaki, and it came out in 1992. And this is from the same director as such films that I really enjoyed. And these are all in release date order according to IMDb, or at least the ones that I'm about to show you that I've seen: Castle in the Sky, My Neighbor Totoro, Kiki's Delivery Service, Princess Mononoke, and Spirited Away. And these are all movies that I really love for the most part. Kiki's Delivery Service being my least favorite out of all of those. Not because it's a bad movie, but out of everything that I've seen, it's just the one that didn't affect me as much. But I'll give it a second watch someday. This one I really, really loved. And just like all of these movies, the animation looks beautiful, and I really like the characters in this movie a lot. The acting's great also, and I enjoyed the music. And it wasn't over-present in this movie at any point. And there were plenty of scenes where there was no music at all, which I loved. The music never once felt like a crutch to me. And it all felt like everything was done meticulously, and each choice in this movie had purpose. I really love Porco Rosso as a character, if I'm pronouncing that correctly from memory. I think is a really compelling character and interesting, and there's things to interpret about his character as to why he is the way that he is. And I like that this movie takes place in the 1930s in Italy, and it's basically just a bunch of airplane pirates and stuff like that, and bounty hunters, and everyone's in airplanes, and it's really cool and fun to watch. And honestly, it kind of reminded me of my experience playing Crimson Skies, and that was kind of funny for me. And I just felt like I kind of had a connection with this movie in a way that I did with none of his other movies. Not to say that I don't connect with his other movies, like Castle in the Sky and My Neighbor Totoro are some of my favorites, but and I really do love those movies, but this one in particular, just something about it I just really loved and connected with, and the humor also worked for me, which was consistent throughout the entire film. Not to say that every scene has jokes in it, but the way that the humor is approached, it doesn't feel like kiddie humor. It also feels like these characters are almost kind of like real people in a sense, and it's kind of writing that line, but it always feels like the movie understands what to do and what not to do, and how much is too far, and it just completely understood what it needed to be. And the action scenes were fun and exciting and really engaging. And there's one action scene at the end that I really enjoyed. And I really enjoyed the antagonists of the film. They were pretty funny in the movie, and they actually served a great purpose that really helped out my experience. They didn't feel like characters that were just thrown in there. And if you took those characters out of the movie would be no different. They actually have an impact on the story, and the reason the movie is as good as it is to me, I feel, is because of those characters. And all of the side characters, I feel, really serve a purpose in this movie, and this film also does feel like it's taking place in the 1930s, from what I can tell. And I also do appreciate that this movie does avoid falling into movie cliches and kind of subverts your expectations at points, and it just knows exactly what it needs to be, and it tells the story that it wants to and just goes with it. It never falls into a trap of like, hey, this is something that you need to throw into this movie to have it be more appealing to certain audience members, but instead it just does its own thing without alienating everyone or any specific audiences, I felt, and therefore it just worked for me. And there were a couple tiny things in the movie that I picked up on and were kind of funny just to me. And one of them being there was a character named Piccolo. And for those who are curious as to why I find that kind of funny, it's because that character's name is pretty iconic from Dragon Ball Z. So if you've seen any Dragon Ball series, you would know the name Piccolo. I also loved, and this is a tiny thing, how on one of the engines it had the word Ghibli on it, which I found to be kind of funny. And also one other tiny thing, and this was just a me thing, and I don't know how it's going to appeal to a lot of people. And I also watched the English dub of this movie, which wasn't distracting for me, and I was just curious to see how it was. And there wasn't anything that stood out as bad or poorly communicated to me at any point, but there was a point where a character used the word radical. I was like, oh, I haven't heard that word in a long time. Like, that's not a word that I probably will ever use, really, or very often myself, but I do miss hearing it, at the very least. Like, I don't know, I have some nostalgia for it, even though it's just one word, but it just stood out to me, and yes, I get it. It kind of doesn't really make sense, because I don't think that was a word that was used typically in the 1930s, but whatever. It's just one word, really, and it doesn't really take away from anything. And my only issue, and this might have just been me, but there was one shot in the movie that looked like it had a couple of dead pixels off to the left. But in terms of issues, that's about it. Like, I didn't really have anything that really ruined the movie for me, and I just loved looking at this movie. There were some interesting shots in this movie, and it's beautiful animation as well. I just really loved the experience of this movie, and I'll totally watch it again. And there was something about this movie that just really clicked with me, so I don't really have anything else to say about it. So, and with all that being said, I'm going to give Porco Rosso a 10 out of 10. I was kind of split between 9 and a 10 for this movie, and honestly, I just really enjoyed the experience of this movie so much that I'm just going to go with a 10. Thank you for watching my videos. As always, if you enjoyed this review, be sure to leave a like and comment down below you thought of Porco Rosso, and my social media links. They will all be in the description, so follow me there. And last but not least, subscribe to be a part of Foley Nation, and I'll see when I get my next review up, and that is going to be for Howl's Moving Castle. So look forward to that, but until I get that up, thank you for watching, and have a great day.